Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Behind the Grind. So, I was on the Space Marine subreddit the other day when I came across a post that said, could a Warhammer game set during the Horus Heresy work? And you know what? That really got me thinking. Would a Space Marine game set during the Horus Heresy work? Well, here we are making a video about it, and we're going to be discussing some pretty cool ideas, some thoughts that we are having around could a Warhammer game during the Horus Heresy actually work, and would that be something that the community as a whole is interested in? So, let's go ahead and dive right in. Before we begin, I want to ask you to please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Also, let's take a moment to thank our channel members for supporting the Behind the Grind YouTube channel. Your help means a lot, and if you're interested in being a channel member, check out the information in the description down below. Thank you. With all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about a potential Warhammer game set during the Horus Heresy. So, as you guys already know, the Horus Heresy was an event in which the Imperium of Man quite literally turned on each other. You had Astartes going against themselves, you had a couple of traitor legions that turned against loyalist legions, and well, they duked it out in a galactic civil war. Now, this is the perfect premise for a massive multiplayer online video game of the likes of huge PvP multiplayer games. Now, obviously, the big inspiration for a Warhammer Horus Heresy video game would have to be Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 to an extent, even though I did not like that game as much as I did Battlefield 1. But with both of those games being mentioned, it's pretty obvious that the next thing I'm going to say is that this will be a game that will be developed by DICE. DICE just happens to be one of those developers that is really good at making this kind of game, and you know what? If given the opportunity, I really do think they could deliver. So, with Battlefield 1 and Star Wars Battlefront 2 in mind, obviously you would have two opposing sides, which would be the Imperium and the Traitor Legions. Now, this is where we have two different options where I kind of think that the community as a whole would be a little divided on. So, option number one, we can stick to lore accuracy, and what that means is that, well, you have a specific map, and you have more traditional encounters. So, like, you have the Sons of Horus going up against the Imperial Fists, or you have the Ultramarines going up against the Death Guard, you have the Space Wolves going up against the Thousand Suns. You get the point. Now, this would be pretty restrictive on player customization and character customization as a whole, because you would be tied to a specific legion, and well, that's one thing that the other option could really do a lot better, and it would support more player freedom when it comes to customization. Option number two would basically just be like you have the Imperium of Man on one side, and on the opposing side you just have Chaos Undivided. Now, with both of these in mind, the option number two would allow player customization. You can run in as any of the different traitor legions as you want, or loyalist legions if that's your thing. We're a bunch of traitors over here, JK. But you could basically run in as any kind of player that you want. It would sacrifice a little bit of that lore accuracy, but when it comes to a video game like this, you kind of really want to go with what the community would rather prefer. So I do ask you, what would you prefer? Would you rather have more traditional battles between like salamanders and word bearers, or would you just rather have two opposing sides full of different legions within the ranks? Go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Me personally, while I do like being able to customize my character, because I would like to play as Night Lords and I wouldn't like having a specific legion tied to a specific map, I do have to say that the Horus Heresy as a whole is extremely cinematic, and you could really have some pretty cool battles. Like, you know, in those first cinematics that they came out with once the Horus Heresy actually came out as a tabletop game, you have the Sons of Horus going up against the Imperial Fists, and even watching that trailer nowadays, it's still pretty cool seeing them go up against each other. I mean, they were in all of the promotional art, and even the new promotional art shows the Salamanders going up against the Iron Warriors. So obviously, that is the best choice if you are a lore accurate person. If lore accuracy is one of those things that you value, you definitely want to go with option number one. But with the overall customization slash options out of the way, next up would be gameplay. So in my personal opinion, I think the best choice for a gameplay would be a hybrid between the Space Marine 2 gameplay and a little bit of first person action going on there. So in Star Wars Battlefront 2, you can switch between the two perspectives on the fly. You can play in first person or third person. It really doesn't make a difference, and it's basically just up to player preference. Now, that's what I do want to see in a Horus Heresy video game, because me personally, I like to play first-person shooters. I love seeing from the first person. It's a lot more immersive, but if it's something like Warhammer, it's definitely a game that I want to play in third person, just because I want to see my Space Marine and I want to see everything that's going on around me. The online matches would be similar to Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 1, obviously, and you would have different game modes. Some game modes would place you within an actual operation in which you lead a mission from one side, kind of like in Battlefield 1's operations modes, and they're a lot more story intensive and all that kind of stuff, whereas some of the other game modes, like a conquest of sorts, where you capture and control all these different points located on the map, and even having something like the Galactic Conquest game mode from Battlefront 2, where you could board enemy ships and capture ships and like shoot them down and just cause massive blows of damage to the opposing side. You would run around with a bunch of Space Marines on either side. I think the best choice for a game like this would have to be 100 players versus 100 players. And now each side has a specific pool of reinforcements that you can call. You can call in things like tanks, actual Astartes to help you reinforce, Imperial Guardsmen, all that kind of good stuff. And it's something that I really thought was a great idea, pulled directly from Battlefield 1. In that game, if you are on the losing side of a match, you will get reinforced with a heavy reinforcement. So like you will have on some maps a Dreadnought, which is like this really decked out destroyer, or you would have one of those giant airships. Within the Warhammer Horus Heresy universe, you would have what is the actual Titan. So as you guys know from all the Horus Heresy cinematics, the Titans play a really big part in this friggin' war, man. Like if you've read the books and you know your Horus Heresy lore, like Titans are huge, man. And you can have Chaos Titans for the one side and then the actual Imperial Titans for the Loyalist side. The Titans could be something that multiple players take control of. So like you could have one person who is actually piloting the thing, and then you could have multiple other players take control of all the different weaponry that the Titans come equipped with. You could call in things like stratagems, so like orbital airstrikes. You could call in all these kinds of different sorts of good stuff. And if you guys have any ideas or anything you want to add on to the conversation, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. I read all your comments and I respond to all of them, and I really do want to know what you guys would think of a video game set during the Horus Heresy. But moving on from that, that's pretty much everything that a Warhammer game set during the Horus Heresy would basically have, right? So obviously you just want your huge different opposing forces of enemies duking it out on a large battlefield, just boarding each other's ships, destroying all of their different objectives and all that kind of good stuff. When it comes to a game like this, if you ask me personally, I would not want a story mode. We have enough cinematics, we have enough books, lore to kind of know how the Horus Heresy played out. And when it comes to a game like this, you really want to focus on the multiplayer aspect of it. I think that's where obviously the majority of the interest is going to be. People aren't going to be playing a game like this for the story, they're going to be playing a game like this for the multiplayer experience. So in conclusion, I would have somebody like DICE develop a Warhammer Horus Heresy video game, and if done right, this game could be pretty dang awesome for all the fans. Just talking about it and visualizing what this game would look like in my head, I'm already pretty hyped up for it, and it's not even a real game, man, unfortunately. It's just an idea that I had, and I figured that I would share with all you guys because we like to have discussions over here. And once again, I encourage you to let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. I really do want to spark some interest in this game because you know what? If we get enough people talking about it and the developers really read and Games Workshop sees that we're really talking about something like this, who knows in the future, maybe a game like this could get greenlit by Games Workshop. And if that's the case, that's a dream come true, man. The Horus Heresy is probably one of my favorite stories in anything, actually. It's pretty cool to see brother turn on brother over something so terrible like a corrupted man falling to chaos. And well, now there's a lot of bloodshed and there's a lot of combat all across the galaxy. So with that being said, that's how I would like a Warhammer game set during the Horus Heresy. If done right, this could really be something extremely special. And you know what? This game could last quite virtually forever if you just keep updating it and keeping it fresh with some new stuff. This is one of those games that would keep people's interest for years to come down the line. So what do you guys think of the Warhammer game set during the Horus Heresy? I personally would love a game like this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But that's pretty much all I got. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel for more content. Also, if you wish to support the channel further, I'd encourage you to join the channel for $5 a month for exclusive perks. Thanks. This has been Behind the Grind, talking about the Horus Heresy video game, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!